So, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of the Quebec Nordiques, there was one guy that got under the skin of the Quebec media, the Montreal Canadiens fans, the league in general, probably Quebecois who believed most people like him should be easygoing and quiet and yada, like nice, a good separatist Quebecer. But the problem is the planet that Michel Bergeron lived on was his own. He was the Don Cherry of Quebec. But if Don Cherry, he did a really shitty job in junior, but it was reverse. When Cherry went back to coaching, he was in junior hockey for a while, ran a very terrible team into the ground. But Bergeron started in the Q and ended up in the NHL as part of the Nordiques franchise for a number of years and basically single-handedly defeated the Montreal Canadiens pretty much in 82 and 85. Now, we're going to talk today about the legend of Michel Bergeron. Now, ironically, he was born in Montreal, Quebec, and his overall play his overall coaching style is legendary because he put the NHL Quebec Nordiques on the map. He didn't join the Quebec franchise until they were out of the WHA. He led them as a head coach. But leading up to that, he was probably one of the better Quebec coaches of the 1970s. He started with a midget team in Rosemont, Quebec. Now, during his second season, he led the team to a national championship. He then took over the great Three Rivers Draveurs of the Q, leading the team to 2 Memorial Cup appearances. Now, Bergeron's great results in minor hockey and major junior drew a lot of interest. He eventually was signed on to the Nordiques, and he was their head coach from 80 to 87. Now, Tiger, as we call him, Le Tigre, or Napoleon, basically gained a reputation for coaching kind of a high-scoring, quick-pace squad, which was comparable to the mid-1970s Nordiques that won the AFCO Cup with Marc Tardif and all the great Quebecois that were playing on the squad. Now, as a coach, he also devoted much of his time to pursuing European players and NHL cast-offs who could still play in the NHL. And he helped bring the Stastny brothers into the Quebec fold after defection from Czechoslovakia. Now, his teams reached the postseason in each of the 7 years behind the Quebec bench, including 2 trips to the Final Four after defeating Montreal in the playoffs. Now, just before the 87 draft, of all things, Bergeron was traded to the New York Rangers, and this was the first in NHL history, for a draft pick, first-round draft pick, and $75,000. Now, we saw in baseball players being traded. We look at Chuck Tanner in Pittsburgh, but this was kind of unique, and it's not basically something that was illegal, but something that was worked out. Now, in spite of his on-ice achievements in Quebec, he was getting himself in trouble with the Nordiques in recent years because he was outspoken, just like Don Cherry, and the Quebec media basically was hard on him because, Montreal was selling papers, and, Bergeron said, maybe you're not giving us the best coverage because without us there'd be no Battle of Quebec, and give us some respect, and he didn't go over good with the media. Now, his reputation of a strong motivator enticed the Rangers, who were run at the time by Philip Esposito. And unfortunately, the Rangers had gone through some weird head office issues because there was 13 coaching changes in the previous 12 years, despite a Stanley Cup appearance in 1979. Now, his first season in New York saw the Rangers in a battle with the newly improved New Jersey Devils for the final spot in the Patrick Division. Now, a tie with the Winnipeg Jets in the second-last game of the season left the Rangers and Devils tied with 80 points each. However, the Devils had one more win, meaning that if both teams won their final game, the Devils would advance on the tiebreaker. Now, on the final day of the season, the Rangers easily defeated Bergeron's old team, 3-0, while hours later the Devils defeated the Blackhawks 3-2 in overtime to advance. Now, with this, the Rangers did not make the postseason. Had the Rangers defeated the Jets rather than tie them, they would have secured the last playoff spot in the Patrick Division with their win over the Nordiques, so it was kind of their own fault. Now, with 2 games remaining in the 89 season, GM Philip Esposito fired Bergeron and named himself as head coach for the remainder of the year. Now, even though the Rangers had secured a playoff spot, Bergeron had pissed off Esposito by wanting a contract extension in public. He was trying to do it through the media. Now, Esposito stated that the firing was rooted in what is still called philosophical differences. Basically, Esposito thought Bergeron was an asshole, and Bergeron thought Esposito was an asshole. And when you got two assholes, it's like matter and antimatter. They can't exist in the same universe. Now, Bergeron then returned to Quebec during the '90 season, presiding over probably the worst Nordiques season of all time, with 12 wins, and it was the worst franchise result for the NHL and WHA incarnations, and of course later Colorado. Now he's fired after the season. Now his grand total of wins in Nordiques was 265, which is again still the most in franchise history. Now, due to in part to the 1990 debacle, he also holds the record for most career losses in franchise history. And ironically, after the end of the season, in December 1990, he made front page news by taking a mild heart attack, which is kind of maybe he took a heart attack because he didn't get his stress out by coaching games. Like, if you ever go back to the old tapes on TQS or TVA or CBC, to see Bergeron on the bench, especially during the Good Friday Massacre, how he would react to every situation. The man never relaxed behind the bench. When I say compare him to Don Cherry, he was what you call in French un homme fragile. He was a fragile egotist, and when things didn't go his way, you see it on his face. Like he was a poker player, he couldn't win a hand because everything was on his face. Now, they also call him Napoleon, but I don't think Napoleon really stuck. But Le Tigre is like a tiger will jump at the moment's notice. Allegedly, he started being called with that nickname when he was playing for a Canadian traveling team in Cuba. Now, Fidel Castro allegedly played against him in one of the contests, and Bergeron, instead of going easy on Castro, cut him down on a throw to the plate. Allegedly, I haven't seen the video, but sounds like something about Castro and Bergeron would do. Now, his broadcasting career is also quite interesting. He's been on the Quebec airwaves for a number of years, and it's too bad the English people can't see the translation, because he tells 4,000 stories in 4 seconds. Like he covers a lot of bases. Now, he spent 6 years with RDS, which is the French version of TSN, and was nicknamed, his third nickname, the captain on a talk show called L'Antichambre, which basically means not normal or against the grain or something. Now, Bergeron quit RDS for TVA Sport on December 19, 2013, and he's a panelist now for TV games on a regular basis and giving color commentary, or what they call in-booth comments. Sort of like Don Cherry, but a little bit more cerebral. Now, coaching record. We've covered the Quebec thing, but the years with the Rangers, actually above 500 record, 73 wins, 67 losses, 18 ties. Didn't miss the playoffs in '88, but again fired by Espo in '89. But that record, ladies and gentlemen, in 1980, 12, 61, and 7. So let's look. Let's look at the two actually Frozen Four runs. There were 2 games over 582. Defeated Montreal in the first round. Defeated Boston in the second round. Got swept by the eventual Stanley Cup champions in the Wales finals. Now in '85, he defeated Montreal in the quarterfinals after knocking out Buffalo, and he lost 4-2 to Philadelphia. Now, just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, go back to the tape, you can find it. Quebec won Game 7 in Boston on the road. And '82 was probably one of the most underrated games ever played by a Canadian playoff team. But I think what really hurt him as well, you look at the loss to Montreal in '84. He lost to Montreal in 7 games in '87, where I think Quebec had a better team that year. But all these teams, again, made the playoffs, except for that year he was fired, so that shows me a lot. And of course, the '86 divisional title, where they were just destroyed in the playoffs by Hartford, who eventually went on to lose to Montreal in 7 games. Hartford had a really good team that year, so no disgrace there. So, Michel Bergeron, if you, oh yeah, I want to talk about the Q record as well. He got 2 bronze medals at the Memorial Cup, 2 President's Cup, which is the league title. Best year, of course, was that 79 miracle season where he should have won the Memorial Cup. He ended up with 58 wins, 8 losses, and 6 ties with 122 points. And he went 12-1 to make it to the Memorial Cup, and unfortunately get that 2-2 record that stopped him. So, anyway, the Tigre, Fidel Castro. I don't think he ever watched a Montreal Canadiens game, but he probably would say, "I recognize the guy. That's the asshole that threw me out to the plate." So, if he's Quebec style, maybe Don Cherry is the Michel Bergeron of English hockey. We don't know. Have a good day. Bye.